In this video, we're actually going to we're going to work with object styles. Now, we're going to combine a few things that we've already discussed. We're going to combine paragraph styles, and we're also going to combine anchored objects, but we're going to introduce this thing that we're going to call the object styles. Now, I already have my object styles icon in my strip right here, but if you don't have yours in your strip as well, just go up to Window, drop down to Styles, and then you're going to drag down to where it says Object Styles, and you're going to get this dialog box. And like every other dialog box that you find in the Windows, you can always anchor it or dock it into your strip as you need to. All right, so now let's do this. First thing we're going to do is we're going to actually create a character style with the names. So what I want to do is I'm going to and I should say it can be a character style or a paragraph style, but we're going to make it a paragraph style. So what I'm going to do right now is 12 point myriad. We're going to make that 18 point. Okay, so it's 18 point. We're going to center it from left to right, so it's centered right there. All right. Now with the selection tool, we're going to go up to objects, drop down to text frame options, and then where it says vertical justifications, we'll say centered. So it centers it top and bottom. All right, so we'll say, okay, that's great. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to actually, and we can just keep the cursor right here because since it's a paragraph style, we don't have to select the entire paragraph, or in this case, this word. We just put the cursor right here. We're going to go over to our paragraph style, and then we're going to create a new paragraph. So as we have this right here, we're going to hit the tab right here, all right? And then we're going to double click on that, and we're going to call this one Centered Names. Okay, so now you might say, well, what's the difference between, the names that we had originally and what we just call Centered Names is, well, let's say, for example, if I were to click on the names, you're going to see the way we set it up for the last exercise was we made it bold and we had it flush left. But in our centered names, of course, it's centered. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is using the selection tool, we're going to actually select this frame, all right, and then we're going to give it a color. We're going to give it a color. We're going to make that color fill red, all right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to change the actual specs of this particular frame. So as I select the frame, let's say, for example, I want to make that frame 11 picas wide, all right, and I'm going to make it 2 picas high, okay, 11 by 2. So now we have a frame that's 11 wide by 2 deep, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to go over to the paragraph style. We still have, now we go down to the text tool. We have our cursor right on that word of the name Allen, and you know what? We don't even have to have this selected. We're going to double click on center, and we're going to change the color to paper, which is white. And we'll discuss in a future video why you will not see the color white listed as a color option in InDesign. But we're going to select the paper. We'll say OK. And as you can see now, this particular style, the centered names, has the name in this white or paper in this rectangle, which is 11 by 2. All right, so now we have our paragraph style inside of this object style. And actually, what we're going to do is we're going to we didn't create an object style for it yet, but we're going to create one right now. And we're going to call this object, we're going to call this red name. All right, so we have it selected. We're going to hit this little tab right here, click on this, and we're going to double click that, and we're going to call it red names. Oops, names. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to actually double click on red names, all right, because we want to make sure we have certain things selected. As you can see, there's a lot of attributes right here, so we're going to make sure we include the paragraph style, all right, that's going to be in this object, all right. We're also going to make sure we go down to where it says text frame auto size option, all right, and as you can see right now that is off. Let's turn it on and let's see what happens. We're going to select height and width, and as you can see, what it did was, since it's in an auto frame mode, it collapsed the frame to fit the name. But we want to do something a little different. We want to say make the minimum height. We want to say make that 2, right? And we're going to say make the minimum width 11. Okay, that was what we did initially. Okay, so we have that frame. We have this object set up where it's 2 by 11 and it's centered. Okay, with that color. So we'll say okay. All right, so now that we have that, now remember the object frame has not only just the color of the object, it has the style in there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to select all of these names right here, and we're going to give it this object style. And as you can see, one at a time, it made them all the exact same size, the exact same configurations, because the object style has the paragraph style in it, as well as the object style with the height and the width. So now what we're going to do is we're going to anchor it. All right, so we're going to click on each one. We're going to cut that out. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the word Allen, but if you notice, I did not highlight the return. I still need the paragraph return to remain right there. So I highlight the word Allen and I do a paste, and as you can see, it put Allen in the place of where the other Allen is, and it has an anchored, this anchored frame, object frame. We take this, we're going to do the same thing with Bob. We're going to cut it off of the pasteboard here, double click on Bob, make sure you do not select the return. All right, we're going to do the same thing with Charlie. We select it, you select it with the selection tool. You cut it with the selection tool. With the type tool, you highlight the type and you paste it in. So you select it with you select the frame with the selection tool. You cut it with the selection tool. You double click with the text tool on the name and you paste it in position. Okay, again, we're going to cut it. All right, and then when you double click, even though you're in the selection tool, if you double click on text, it will automatically convert to the type tool. You say Command V. All right, you paste it in there. And then if you notice, even though you're in the text tool, put your finger on the Command key and look, it changes to the selection tool. So you put your finger on the Command key, select the frame, you cut it, Command X, you double click on the word, in this case it's going to be Frank, and then we paste it in there. So now we have, did I miss one? Okay, well, you know what, for this exercise, let's just keep going. We'll take, I did the wrong one, so now I'm just going to highlight Allen, and I'm just going to type in Frank. Okay, all right, and then I'll just delete this one here on the side. Okay, so now, what's the big deal with this? Well, just like every other style, guess what? You can change the color, all right, or you can change the size. So let's say, for example, in this particular case, I don't have anything selected. I don't select anything. I'm going to come over to my red names. I'm going to double click on that so it exposes my options, all right, and then I'm going to see, what I can do here. All right, so I come over here, all right, and if you notice where it says fill, I'm going to select that, all right, and I can change it to blue or the cyan color. And notice it changed all of the frame colors to that cyan. Of course, now you can't call it red because it's no longer red, all right, but also I can even change the size of it. So let's say, for example, if I go down to where it says the text frame auto size, where the minimum width was, say, 11 picas, let's say I type in 12, all right? And guess what? I've just changed the width of every single one of them. So you're going to find working with styles are so very important to actually controlling your content, especially when you have a lot of content that has similar attributes and you want to quickly make those adjustments.